Howard Kurtz joins us, the host of Media Buzz. I mean, how do you even quantify the impact on this business that Roger Ailes made?
It's very difficult to put into words. I'm a little bit shell-shocked myself at this news. I do want to say that, obviously, when Roger Ailes left Fox News, was forced out of Fox News last summer, made all those sexual harassment allegations, it was kind of a sad ending to an incredible career. And I think it's important that we keep the whole career and the accomplishments that he had in politics, working for Richard Nixon and George H.W. Bush, in entertainment, working for giants like Merv Griffin, and, of course, in the media and building this network from scratch, something that nobody thought he would do. I think it's important that we keep that in perspective.
Howie, he hired you. Just reflect on that in a moment in the following way. The whole motto, the whole slogan of fair and balanced. What Roger would tell his staff is that fair and balanced means you do not exclude any opinions. And it was his belief that a lot throughout the media had excluded opinions. And that was part of the reason for the founding of the Fox News channel. He brings you on board to be a watchdog on media. How come?
Yeah, we had those conversations. How much independence would I have? Because I knew inevitably stories would come up, controversies about Fox News, and he said, as long as you don't take cheap shots, you can do what you need to do, and he lived up to that. I almost never talked to him after coming here, except if I passed him in the halls or something. In other words, he gave me the independence to do what I needed to do on Media Buzz. And keep in mind, Bill, he hired me after I'd covered him as a reporter for other organizations and sometimes writing tough stories. He was a controversial and colorful character for almost 2 decades, and so the fact that he brought me in, I think, said a lot about the news side of Fox News, a network at which the opinion side obviously gets a lot of attention, but there's so many fine journalists that work here, and that's sometimes overlooked in evaluating Ailes and Fox.
Very, very interesting, Howie.
Yeah, and Howie, I mean, he loved, as we've talked about, a good fight. He loved taking on the media competition, and he wanted us to dominate the market in the field out there, and he was extremely driven.
Extremely driven, and yet I think there were a lot of stereotypes about him that were not true in my experience once I came to work at Fox News. I mean, for one thing, even beyond politics, and he was sort of a genius at politics, he was an incredibly good manager. He understood television, graphics, pacing in a way that forced every other cable news channel to try to imitate in some way. And also, you know, the notion that he put out marching orders, everybody had to march in lockstep. That's simply not true. I mean, certainly there are prominent conservative voices on this network, but there's a wide range of opinion. And when Donald Trump ran for president, there were those who were very much for him and those who were very critical of him. I think that speaks to the kind of news operation that Roger Ailes built.
I'd just make one more point on this, Howie. I mean, your business is to analyze the media. And one of the stories that Roger liked to talk about a lot was when he worked for President Nixon in the White House. There was a moon landing. And at that time, television was becoming more and more popular. And he brought a television into the Oval Office to get a picture of President Nixon watching these astronauts land on the moon. And the reason he did that was to emphasize the American connection to the accomplishment in space. That was his vision.
Roger had such an instinctive understanding of television and communication. I mean, Richard Nixon in 1968 was not a television candidate. He had not done well on the televised debates with JFK in 1960. I mean, Roger Ailes played a key role in getting him elected. And yet, you know, for all of his work there, I talked to him when he was managing or working for Rudy Giuliani in one of his mayoral races. He left that behind. He had strong convictions and strong opinions, no question about it. But he also understood that in a news operation, you go out and cover the news. Different for opinion commentators on this channel, and I think that is often underlooked by people who are critics of Fox News, who say that it toes a certain line. That is not the case. That has not been my experience working here, having been hired by Roger Ailes.
Thank you, Howard. Howard Kurtz, a little analysis there. There's plenty more to come on that. Again, Howard, the news of the morning. Roger Ailes is the news. He has left us at the age of 77, and oftentimes he would conclude on election nights before we would all dash down to the studio, coming out of our poll meetings or our debate prep. He'd say, it's okay to be fast, but don't be wrong. And be yourself, because no one likes a phony. Roger Ailes has died at the age of 77. Our prayers with Beth and Zach from this day forward.